and welcome back to Garden of Kaylin. In a world full of variegated this and hybrid that, plant people everywhere are ready to risk it all to get the next new trendy plant. Or is that just me? It's probably just me. But somewhere in between all the chaos and noise surrounding the next new trendy plant are the plants that I love, the underdogs. These are my underrated, rarely seen plants. It doesn't mean they're super expensive or crazy hard to find or anything. It just seems like no one is talking about these and I have no idea why. But before we get started, hi, I'm Kayla and welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. 60% of the people watching this video right now are not subscribed. And that's weird. Stalkers. No, I'm just kidding. But do be sure to subscribe if plants are your vibe. Now let's look at some plants. Number one on my list today, and these are in no particular order, is the Filadrin Rugosum. Now I have no idea why this isn't seen more often. At the time of me recording this, a juvenile form of this can sell from $50 to $200 US. Maybe that is why. Maybe people just don't see $50 to $200 in this, but I did. I actually got mine for $40. I got it from Equigenera, and it came about this size. It's put out this one new leaf since I've gotten it, and so it came pretty big. The thing that drew me to the Rugosum is the mature leaves. It was just a little extra something when I got it, and the leaves feel like skin. That might be creepy to some people, but I appreciated it. I know that some people call this the Philodendron pigskin, and the leaves literally feel like I can stretch them out, like they have elasticity like skin. I don't know how much you can see on the camera. This leaf is actually a little bit damaged, whatever. But the leaves are slightly textured. They feel so real. I mean, they are real, but they feel so alive. It's really cool, you guys, seriously. I haven't had it long enough to see how fast it grows, but from what I can tell, it's a pretty hardy plant. And even in its younger form, I think it still looks really cool. You can see on this leaf that the outside parameter of it has like this transparent look. It almost looks like it's laminated. It's really cool. I've had it under a grow light because I really do want those mature leaves to hurry up and get here because that's where I got it. As far as finding this to purchase, I had a little bit of trouble. I couldn't really find it anywhere, and I feel like a lot of sellers aren't selling it because it's just not that high in demand. If that's the case, I got it just in time. I am curious to see what it's going to do in 2024. So far, so good with this Rugosum. I'm so happy I got it. Up next on the list, we have the Philodendron Lentii, and this is a really cool one too. I don't know if it was the large leaves or the ruffles on the leaves that drew me to this plant, but I'm really glad to have both. And let me just tell you, this one has been so easygoing so far. Despite the fact that it's been pushing out this same leaf for like a month, I have really enjoyed having this in my collection. It's a very thirsty philodendron, but with the fungus gnat issues that I try to keep at bay, I try not to water this so often, and it's been totally fine with that. Even as I'm holding it right now, this pot is really light. I also got it shipped when it was really cold outside, and it didn't take any damage to any of the leaves. There was even a new leaf coming in while it was shipping, and it still took no damage, not even to the new one, which is this one. When the new leaves come in, that is cream of the crop, you guys. They're of course a lot brighter than the other leaves, and they even have a slight red tint to them. From what I've seen, they kind of grow upright, but in this self-heading type of way. It's kind of hard to find a mature picture of this plant, so I don't really know what it looks like mature, which leads me to believe it's either a hybrid and kind of a newer one, or that it's a really slow grower. Even when I looked it up on Instagram, there were only a few pictures of it, and it looked like those had come from Equigenera too, so I wonder if this is kind of an Equigenera type of hybrid. But actually, no, I don't think it is. It's just that they seem to be selling these the most. I don't know. It kind of looks like the Anthurium veitchii to me, and these leaves are younger, so the ruffles aren't as prominent, but I have seen photos of some really deep textured leaves, and I'm hoping that's what this new one is going to look like. I'm really curious to see what this is going to look like in a year or two. If you know anything about this one, let me know, because I do want to put it up on a moss pole, but it's kind of hard to tell if this is a crawler or is it a climber. I don't know yet, but make sure to come back and visit, because when this new leaf unfurls, I want us to look at it together. This next one struggled so much when I first got it. Every time I watered it, it would yellow and lose a leaf or two. But I think I finally got the hang of it, and for the past few months, it's been growing and not losing any leaves. This is my Singonium Red Arrow. It may not look like much right now, but if you understood how much I was losing leaves, you would understand why this is so much progress. When I first got this, it was a little expensive. I think I paid like 50 bucks for a very small plant, smaller than this obviously. And it was also in the rare plant section of the nursery that I got it from, and it was the only one there. It piqued my interest because I hadn't seen it before, so I got it, and here we are now. It's a moderate grower. It's not very fast, not as fast as my other Singoniums, and I keep it up on this shelf where it's under a grow light, so that should tell you even more about how fast it grows. My favorite part about this Singonium is the back of the leaves. So I'm assuming this is where it gets the name Red Arrow, and eventually that red fades to green. Boo. But if I can manage to grow this really full and really big, there will always be new growth, so there will always be red on it. It's not just the back that I love though. The front of the leaves also have a red tint to them, and it almost has this metallic look to it. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I'm just so impressed with the coloring on the leaves. This is another one that I don't see a lot of online. Even when I'm intentionally looking it up, I maybe can find the same like 3 or 4 pictures of this. I feel like your normal ones, or whatever you want to call it, fall by the wayside, even though they are absolutely gorgeous like this one, because there are so many special ones, and variegated this and milk confetti that, and I can't complain about it too much because then I get to get them without spending an arm and a leg. I do have tissue culture plants and variegated plants and trendy plants, but I just don't get why they're not all special and trendy. Anything except for ferns. But anyway, this is my Singonium Red Arrow with the red on the undersides, and y'all know how I feel about my red plants. Does anybody have this? It has been a true roller coaster ride, but now that I know a little bit more about what it wants and doesn't want, it's been pretty easy going, and I'm not losing any more leaves, I hope. Now this next plant is pretty expensive and a little hard to find. It's also high maintenance, I'm not gonna lie, but there are so many plants that are hard to find, high maintenance, and expensive. This is my Sircestus Miribeis. I always have a hard time pronouncing it, but not a lot of information on the internet about this one. Not a lot of people have it from what I can see. And according to my research, some even say it's not a philodendron. In the year that I've had it, it's pushed out this leaf and now it's pushing out this leaf. So it's been a really slow grower as well. But looking at these leaves, you can see why it's worth the wait. So again, I mentioned it's not very cheap as of right now, at least. When I got this, it was, yeah. So of course I'm trying to give this the best care that I possibly can because I can't let that money go down the drain. And I feel like they're priced so high because they're really slow growers, but these leaves are amazing. Even though the new leaves take forever to unfurl, when they finally do unfurl, it is totally worth the wait. I think I did a video about 7 months ago when this leaf was unfurling, and here we are 7-8 months later and I'm just now getting another new leaf. So that should tell you a lot about how fast these grow. And I keep it in my greenhouse cabinet so there are fans, grow lights, humidity. I'm giving it the optimal care that I think I should be giving it, and it's still a really slow grower. So I'm not saying everyone should have one of these. I'm definitely not saying that, but it is just one that I find to be very underrated, very underappreciated, and just all around unusual. Sadly, as a plant matures, it does lose this color in the leaves. So being a slow grower may not be a bad thing after all. Plus, where am I gonna put it when it outgrows the cabinet? Because these things like really high humidity. So if anyone has a mature version of this, I am curious to know more about it, so let me know. I feel like a few of you may have the next one. This is the Homo lamina Selby, and I'm just now learning that they are cousins of philodendrons. I never would have guessed. These aren't expensive or very hard to find. I got this one from Lowe's for $22. So like I said, not expensive, not hard to find. I will admit I don't see them often, but I have seen them once or twice, and this time around I decided to get it. I'm so used to seeing the camouflage version of this. It's not the easiest to care for, but it's not the hardest either. They just like a little bit more humidity than your average household humidity. So I do keep it by a humidifier, and I just love these thick, matte, very pale leaves. The dark green in the leaves definitely sets it off. Since I did find this in a big box store, I feel like more people will have these soon. But if you're gonna get one, I suggest getting one now before that happens so you don't have to fight anybody to get it. So far, so good though. I haven't had any issues with it. Again, I do keep it under a humidifier. It is a nice bushy one that I think really does make a statement, and I don't get why everybody doesn't already have one. If people are buying ferns still, I know I keep picking on ferns. Like, we have a hate-hate relationship at this point. If you can take care of a fern, if you can take care of a calathea, then this would be a no-brainer to you. Go get one. I'm not sure if this next one is considered trendy or not. It is a hybrid of a plant that has a million different versions that are very trendy. Some of them are even very expensive, but this one, not so much. This is my Philodendron Florida Bronze. And when I got it, I was really skeptical because I'd never heard of it. And I thought I was getting duped into buying something that didn't really do what they said it did. But no, the Philodendron Bronze really is bronze. It even has hints of red and copper in it. When they harden off, they still have kind of a copper or bronze undertone to them. So I am really happy that I got this when I did. And I realized that the light is really bright, so I'm gonna turn that down real quick. Okay, that's a little bit better. The Philodendron Florida Bronze, I think it's one of those up and coming plants. I haven't seen anyone else with it since I got it. I've only seen it when I intentionally look it up or research it. And it actually has grown pretty fast, even a little faster than my variegated Floridas, which I attribute to, you know, there being no variegation in them. It doesn't have the entire Florida shape yet, but you can see it's getting there. And I really have no regrets about getting it. I'm really glad that I got this plant, especially if the demand for it goes up and the price goes up with it. I got this as a starter plant and it was like $18. Granted, it wasn't very big yet, but it's really grown up quite nicely and pretty fast. So I feel like getting a starter plant wasn't a bad idea. I can't say that for all of my plants. And you guys, it's really a Florida Bronze. Some of you may not be familiar with this, but back in like 2020, when the Pink Princess was really blowing up, before you could get it in big box stores, sellers were promoting something called a pink Congo, and that to me was a total scam. So I wasn't sure if this was going to be a scam too, but nope, I think I lucked up with this one. When it gets to be the size of my other Floridas, it's gonna be a complete showstopper. Whew, okay, so the next one I just saw a spider in, so I'm trying to keep a very brave face, but my OCD has me like really sweating right now, so I'm just gonna show you guys this, okay? Notice that I put on gloves and everything because it's not a game. This is my Philodendron Choco Empress. I got this from Chimera Tropicals, which is one of my favorite places to shop for plants because there are always plants that I've never seen and for really good prices. But this plant has truly been my pride and joy. I assume by the serrated leaves that this is a cousin or related to the jungle boogie and the golden crocodile and just all of the plants that kind of have these serrated leaves. The new leaves come in with a very red undertone. This one has already lost it now that it's hardening off, but you can still see some red down in the middle of it. It hasn't been really fast growing. It maybe has 4 new leaves. Actually, that might be pretty fast now that I'm thinking about it. But because there are 2 plants in here, it pushes out 2 leaves at a time or like back to back. So that just adds to the joy that I feel when I see this plant. Not so much today since I saw a spider in there just now. But honestly, I think it's time for this to be repotted anyway, so I'm gonna have to get down in there eventually. But with it being so beautiful and so bizarre looking, I don't get why more people don't have this. I don't remember the exact price of it, but I know it was under $100. It might have been like $50. And when I got it, it was already pretty big, so that was a real good price. I think that since there are variegated versions of this plant like the caramel marble, these aren't going to do so well until the hype behind the variegated ones kind of dies down a little bit. And when it does, I'm gonna already have mine and it's already gonna be massive. So the downside of having plants that not everyone has is that there's going to be less information on how to care for the plant. So because of that, I kind of struggled with this next plant. It quickly came back around, but I felt like it would have been easier had more people had this plant. This is my Black Pagoda lipstick plant. It is a showstopper, not just because of the front of the leaves, but as you can see, the back of the leaves are really impressive too. So I have this hanging in my bedroom and there's just this beautiful view of dark and light green and purple, which is like to die for. But a little over a year ago, this plant was a lot bigger than it is now. And because I didn't know a lot about it, I didn't care for it properly, and a lot, and I mean a lot of the leaves completely dropped off. I had to cut off entire stems and pretty much cut the entire thing all the way back. And the problem was that I didn't want to overwater it because these leaves seemed a little bit thick and juicy, and so I assumed they stored a lot of water in the leaves, and that just wasn't the case. These need to be watered a whole lot more than what I was giving them, especially directly in front of a window. So what was I thinking? But like I said, it came back around, and it came back around pretty fast. Like I said, I have it hanging in front of a window, and there is a grow light pendant above it, so it's getting fuller at the top and trailing down, which is something that I look for in all of my trailing plants. I don't just want a vine or two here and there. I want a nice big full pot. When I found this, it was at Home Depot. There was just one. During the winter time when I'm plant shopping, because I still plant shop during the winter time, y'all, there's always like one or two uncommon plants kind of sprinkled in. I'm not one of those lucky people who finds like your sport variegated monsteras at big box stores, but I do occasionally get a really good find like this lipstick plant. I haven't seen it in any nurseries or big box stores since I got this one. I don't see a lot of people posting pictures of it. I don't get why. Look how gorgeous it is. I'm kind of excited to find out what this does in the summertime. Does it flower? It's a lipstick plant, so I assume it flowers, but I don't know what the flowers look like or anything. I don't even care about the flowers. These leaves are so vibrant and gorgeous. Anyway, you guys, I definitely suggest snatching one of these up if you do happen to bump into one. I don't know how much they go for or how easily they propagate, but now that I'm looking at it, maybe I will try to propagate this. It can't be that hard. I'm saying that, and watch me try to propagate it and everything die. I'm still gonna try though. Anyway, if you have one of these, let me know, and if you don't, definitely grab it when you see it. I talk about this plant a lot. I've propagated it successfully 4 times and actually just propagated it a 5th time, only because it keeps outgrowing this moss pole and I love how it looks right now. I don't really want it to change. This, you guys, is my Philodendron Lupina, and the leaves are perfect velvety hearts. And when the leaves are fairly new, the back of them are red, and they does eventually fade into just this green color, but oh my goodness, you guys, I love this plant so much. That is why I can't shut up about it. And even with me talking about it a lot, I still don't see anybody else with it. Does anybody have this? Maybe a lot of people do have it and just don't really talk about it. But for a plant that looks so high maintenance, it really has not been at all. And it's been a really fast grower. It has grown so many roots into this moss pole, and because of that, I am able to propagate it pretty seamlessly, and the propagations take off and they start growing really fast as well. I got a really good sized plant for about $50 when I first got it, and I got it maybe 7 months ago, and again, I've propagated it 5 times already, so that says a lot. I mentioned that it hasn't been high maintenance or hard to care for, but I feel like you guys should know I do keep this in my greenhouse cabinet where the humidity is a constant about 80%. I don't know how it would do otherwise. I've never tried to grow it outside of the cabinet, so it maybe just likes that environment, but either way, I feel like you guys should know that. The leaves do really change over time. This one hasn't really sized up that much, especially since I can't stop chopping it up. It does start to lose a little bit of that velvety texture and kind of morph into a black matte leaf, which would also be really stunning, so I'm not mad at it. But I think that for such a beautiful and gorgeous exotic looking plant, I am not seeing this nearly as much as I should be seeing it. It's not that expensive. It is a little bit more difficult to find, and I assume that's again because the demand for it isn't that high, but there should certainly be a ton more of these since they do propagate so easily. And I don't know, maybe during the summertime I will propagate a nice good size of it and maybe do a giveaway or something. I don't know. It depends on how you guys respond to it, but does anybody have this? Let me know. If your wish list has grown during the course of this video, I have done my job. Seriously though, let me know if you have any of these. I really want to see if my interpretation of the underrated plants is actually accurate. That's gonna do it for today's video, you guys. I will see y'all in the next one. Happy New Year. There are so many cool things coming this year. I'm so excited, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.